Hey, welcome to the Nursing Dose with your host, Farah, aka Dr. Laurent. Today, I want to talk to you about visibility. What does visibility even mean? And what does it mean specifically for you as a nurse in terms of your career or your business? All right. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Dr. Farah Laurent. Like I said, I've been a nurse over 20 years. I've been featured in multiple media such as The Jennifer Hudson Show, Black Enterprise, Sigma International, tons and tons of podcasts. And I'm super proud to be a nurse career coach helping new nurses level up, land their dream job in less than 90 days in their preferred specialty, making six figures. That's right, as new nurses. And I also help aspiring nurse entrepreneurs and nurse entrepreneurs really build their personal brand, increase their visibility so that they can unlock opportunities and get paid and start making those money moves and those business moves. All right. I'm also the host of Nurses Making Business Moves. You can check out that conference at nursesmakingbusinessmoves.com and get your tickets for the conference that's coming up March 6th and 7th in Tampa. All right. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, drop them in the chat. I'll be sure to watch back and see if any comments or questions come through. And like I said, today we're going to be talking about visibility, what it really means for you as a nurse, for your career, and also for your business. If you do have a side hustle or you're thinking about starting a business or you have a current business that you want to grow. Okay. So the reason I wanted to talk about this is because me in my own content, I talk a lot about visibility, and that word is thrown around quite a bit, especially for this year, 2026. We've heard the word visibility quite a bit, but what does it actually mean? Right? So I'm going to break that down for you. And I'm also going to give you 5 tips on how to increase your visibility in 2026 so that you can unlock more opportunities and get paid engagements, whether that's consulting gigs, speaking gigs, promotions, other positions, or learn how to really market and pitch yourself. Okay. So let's get into it. Okay. So I looked up this definition. There are various definitions, but really visibility simply means how are you positioning yourself for success? How are you showing up in front of people? How are you showing up in front of the world? And do people recognize you? Do they trust you? And do they know what you actually do and what you stand for, right? And this visibility can be both online and offline, which is in person. Okay, so I'm going to read a quick definition. Again, this was from AI, okay, from chat, because, I use chat and I'm proud of it. But of course, a lot of this content is from me and also from other podcasts and other marketers, millionaires that I follow and I've been following for years and years and years, and being a nurse entrepreneur for almost 5 years now. Okay. So visibility simply is the intentional act of positioning your expertise to the right people so that you can be recognized, you can be trusted, and they can choose you for the right opportunities, roles. You can make more income and have more impact. All right. So that's simply put a simple definition of visibility. Okay. In my own thoughts, right, visibility is not trying to sound like someone you're not. It's not about sounding perfect. It's not about using big words, fancy words, and showing up perfectly, right? That's not really what visibility is. It's really showing up as yourself, your authentic self, and demonstrating your expertise and your knowledge. Okay. So for me, as a nurse career coach, I've been a nurse for over 20 years, started my career in emergency medicine. I was told by my nursing instructor that I would never be an emergency nurse and that I was too unorganized and that I would never make it in the emergency department and that I should just go to med surg. I refused to take that narrative, that old traditional, old school type of nursing, and I pursued the emergency department anyway. From that moment, the trajectory of my career changed because I knew that I was unstoppable if I truly believed in what I believed and I could achieve it. Okay. And then I promised myself that I would later become an educator and be inspiring and super cool and down to earth and inspire the next generation of nurses and really help them and encourage them to really show them that they can do anything that they want, right? Especially in the state that we're in right now. We need to increase diversity in nursing. That's another agenda item of mine. And I'm not about gatekeeping information. So this is why I started my business as Farah Laurent International Nurse Coach. And I started coaching new nurses and helping them really learn the ropes, the real ways that they can secure positions, position themselves for success, build a personal brand, start being super confident and bold in these interviews. And they are securing same-day offers, showing up so confidently, getting jobs in L&D, ICU, ER, psych, NICU, wherever they want, right? So that's kind of the background story, and that's what has really fired me up, okay? So emergency medicine, then I went into education, a bunch of leadership roles, and of course, because of my outspokenness, my advocacy, and pointing things out, holding leaders accountable, I got laid off 3 times in the last 5 years. And then that's when it just fired me up and it pushed me towards entrepreneurship. I had an episode yesterday where I talked about what is entrepreneurship and what is nurse entrepreneurship. And I mentioned that sometimes nurses are pushed towards entrepreneurship because we see a gap in the marketplace. We see something that's bothering us and we come with solutions. And this is what entrepreneurship is. And this is why I've committed myself to create content, to be visible, and to show up consistently every single week for new nurses and to show nurses what is possible outside of traditional bedside. You could still be a nurse and still have a business and grow. And there's nothing wrong with wanting more, expanding our income, expanding, our careers, expanding our business. We can have it all and we can normalize talking about money, financial freedom, getting to, financial literacy, all these things, and just think outside the box. So this is why visibility and branding is so important to me, and really teaching other nurses what is possible, right? It's 2026. Everyone's fired up now. They're like, I want to do something new. I want to do, bigger and greater things. And this is the moment now. This is the time to start building your personal brand, start being visible, showing up consistently. So if you're ready, let me know, put ready in the chat. Let's freaking go. All right. So that's what really visibility means to me. And that's a little bit of my background. Okay. And then really visibility again to me, like I said, is showing up consistently and being relatable, right? It's not about just throwing around your certifications and qualifications, which is important because it helps you become more credible. People will trust you more when you have those credentials. Like me, I have a doctorate, a master's, and all of that. Early in my career, when I started my business, I kind of led with that a lot. Like, hey, I have my DMP, I'm a doctorate. Prepared nurse, I have 6 board certifications, right? But in business, like people don't really want to hear about all that. If they want to find out more about you, trust and believe they will look you up. But you have to lead with connection first, lead with being more relatable, and really build relationships and build trust. And that is what visibility is in the career space, whether you want to get promotions, get up to leadership positions or education positions, you have to build relationships. Okay. I found out the hard way in the emergency department because I was always like heads down, doing the work, super serious, like advocating. And I wasn't really thinking about like building my brand, really nurturing those relationships and things like that. And it really hurt my progression in my career, but then I later learned how to really navigate all these things, right? So again, being relatable is more important than being impressive when you're building your brand and being visible. And actually, I was on a Zoom today with this absolute genius of a marketer and business person, and his name is Daniel Priestley. He helps a lot of these big business people that, he's been on like the Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett and all these people. Cody Sanchez was on there, Alex Hermosi. They had like a whole marketing business entrepreneur talk. So anyways, he was one of them. And today he talked about how being relatable is so important than just being impressive. And he was invited back to the podcast, this Diary of a CEO, multiple times because his content was so relatable. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, being clear over, complex, and then being consistent. And again, yes, you want to demonstrate your expertise as a nurse. You want to demonstrate all those great things, but you also want to show up human and connect with people. Okay. That is very important. All right. So let me know if this content is resonating with you. And let me know if you have questions or comments in the chat. And the other thing I wanted to share is that creating content, we're going to get into it in just a little bit, specifically on LinkedIn, is so important. So right now I'm streaming on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. I usually stream on TikTok, but one of my tripods broke, so I actually ordered another one. It's hopefully supposed to come tomorrow. So then I'll have TikTok on here as well. So basically on LinkedIn, if you create content 2 to 3 times a week consistently, you will be considered the top 1% of LinkedIn creators. There are probably over 1 billion users on LinkedIn, but most people don't create content. So if you just create content, whether that's written posts, videos, going live like I'm doing now, you will be in the top 1% of creators, right? And that is massive visibility, okay? So just posting 3 times a week accelerates your visibility and increases your engagement. And essentially, you can have more connections, more partnerships, more collaborations, more opportunities. Okay. I don't know if you heard that. Top 1%. I'm in the top 1% of LinkedIn. Shout out to me, because I've been doing this for almost 4 years consistently every single week. And sometimes I post daily, sometimes 2 to 3 times a day on LinkedIn. So essentially, I'm part of the 0.01%. Not many people are there, right? And again, it just takes being consistent. All right. And I'm talking about weekly consistency. And that's one part of visibility, is creating content and being online. But we're also going to get into being consistent in terms of showing up to events, in-person networking events and things like that, and being strategic. All right. So I haven't really announced it, but I'm actually throwing a networking luncheon January 31st. It's by invite only. I have a ton of people who've already RSVP'd and who have purchased their ticket. It's going to happen in Cranford, New Jersey, at a really upscale restaurant. And it's going to be a great luncheon. We're going to do a vision board and sip cocktails, the whole thing. And it's going to be a great networking event, because part of 2026, I promised myself that I would be more visible, not only just online, but also in person, and curate more of these mini type events so that nurses can come together, leaders and entrepreneurs, and network and be in community. So I'm going to be outside. So if you're interested, again, it's by invite only. I've invited a ton of people who've RSVP'd. I only have a couple seats left. So if you're in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania area, or if you happen to be in the area, send me a message if you are serious about elevating your game in 2026. If you're serious about building a brand, being more visible, getting out there, networking, and collaborating, partnering, being on podcasts, being out there, being visible, this event is for you. And if you can't make this one, definitely message me because I have multiple events that I'm planning this year. Of course, with the conference being March 6th and 7th, and that's the Nurses Making Business Moves conference. And you can actually get tickets at nursesmakingbusinessmoves.com. And that is the official website for the conference, nursesmakingbusinessmoves.com. Go check it out, get your ticket. And in fact, today is the last day that you can enter for the pitch competition. So this is the first time that we're going to have a pitch competition for the conference. So people have submitted 90-second videos that talk about their business, that talk about what business moves means to them. In order for you to be eligible, you just have to have a business idea or a business of less than 5 years, submit proof of purchase of the conference ticket, and there's more details on the website, so go check it out. But it ends tonight at midnight. So if you haven't submitted your pitch competition, submit it. It's your chance to win $5,000. And you will have a chance to pitch live in front of judges at the University in Tampa at their John P. I can't pronounce it sometimes, but Loaf Entrepreneurship Center. That's where the conference is happening. And it's going to be amazing. And I today just officially announced who is going to be hosting this pitch competition. None other than Precious L. Williams. So shout out to her if she's watching. She is a 13-time national pitch champion. She's not a nurse, but she's a keynote speaker. She opened up as a keynote for the last conference in Tampa and set it on fire. She'll be back to host the pitch competition in Tampa live. Okay, so submit if you haven't submitted. Go check out nursesmakingbusinessmoves.com. Right now, it ends at midnight. Okay, so let's get into, the top 5 tips. So I'm super excited. Like I said, one big thing I wanted to share too is that people see themselves in your stories, in your journey. So don't be afraid to share the wins, but also share the failures, the mistakes, what you've learned, what you're struggling with, what you're navigating through in your career or in your business, because people really like transparency. And if they can see themselves in your story and your journey, or they're like, hey, that post really resonated with me. Like I see myself in you or in this story, people are going to relate to you, connect with you, and trust you. Like for me, I openly have shared that I got laid off 3 times in the last 5 years, despite having a doctorate, 6 board certifications. And when I've made those posts and told those stories, right, so many people reached out and commented and said, I got laid off too, or this happened, and that or the other, because that content is so relatable, because it's happened to them as well. Okay, and that's what builds trust. Okay, essentially showing up consistently, being visible online and in person builds trust. Okay, so when you build trust at the core, then you'll be unlocking more opportunities, whether it's in business or in your career, whether you want to get a promotion, whether you want to get more clients, or whatever the case is. People want to be able to trust you. If they don't trust you, they're not going to do business with you. They're not going to give you their hard-earned money, right? And that's what it is, right? Like look at Amazon and all these big companies. Business thrives on trust and people and reviews and testimonials. Before you go to a restaurant or stay in a hotel, then you're going to look at the photos, the social proof. You're going to look at reviews, testimonials, because you trust that testimonial and reviews before you put your money out there, right? Okay. And also, visibility builds brand, right? I talk a lot about branding. Visibility will help you build your brand. And visibility is also essentially building your digital footprint. So, what is a digital footprint? It's essentially when someone looks up your name, Googles you, they want to find out about you, what you do, who you are. So, what shows up, right? And it has to be consistent. So, for me, I constantly talk about career development for new graduate nurses, how to show up with confidence, how to build their personal brand as a nurse, how to show up boldly. I talk about nurses making business moves and money moves. And branding is really at the core of a lot of what I do, but really teaching nurses that they're unstoppable. There are so many opportunities in nursing, and to think beyond, the box, to just be more of a business thinker. So that's essentially part of my brand as well. And what do people feel when they think about you, when they land on your profile? For me, I'm all about being transparent, big energy, joy, having fun, making things light, but also making sure that my content is not only educational, but relatable and actionable. People can take my content and put it into action. Okay. All right. So let's get into it. The 5 ways that nurses can be more visible for their career in 2026. And again, we talked about the importance of why. Why is it important? Because you want to stand out from the crowd. If you want to get a promotion, you want to get that job interview, whether it's in education and leadership, you have to build confidence, visibility, and that personal brand. Okay. So, number 1, get clear on what it is that you want to be known for. What expertise do you have? Okay. And then share real stories. This can be also in your career and for your business. Okay. And then share real stories, not just highlight reels of, things that don't really matter. Yes, you can have like lifestyle type content where you're showing different things, but you can't talk about too many things. You have to be known for at least 1 to 2 things. So for me, it's all about career advancement, branding at the core, visibility, and nurses really being bold and confident. That's all part of my brand, part of my content. And I'm pretty consistent. Even though I have 2 target audiences, the new graduate nurses who are looking to land their first role in their preferred specialty. I struggled with this in the beginning, but people clearly knew me as a nurse career coach first, and that I help new graduate nurses land 6-figure roles in their preferred specialty. Okay. So that was my foundation, my number 1. Then secondly, once I solidified that in my content and what I shared, secondly, nurses started reaching out to me and saying, hey, how did you become a nurse career coach? How did you build your brand? How did you get your LinkedIn followership to over 30K? How did you start creating content? So then I wrote a book. I was an author of the book, Nurses Making Money Moves, A Nurse's Guide to Starting a Business. And that's the second part of my brand and business, where I started talking about branding and business for nurses. So even though I have 2 separate audiences, they're both nurses. One is the new grad nurse, and the other is the aspiring nurse entrepreneur, or the entrepreneur that wants to continue to build their business, continue to be visible, continue to get more clients, and really just be fierce in their business, right? Okay. So that's number 1. Be clear on what you want to be known for. Tell the stories, bring the receipts, right? You have to demonstrate what you're doing. And then share what you're learning, or, teach what you're currently learning. And we talked about sharing wins and also sharing your failures, because you want to be relatable. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, be consistent. Presence. You have to be consistent. For me, I've been consistent every single week. online, creating content, showing up live, creating written posts, doing videos, doing lives. Okay. And then I'm always speaking in my natural voice. So don't try to be someone you're not or act, professional, whatever that means. You want to speak to be understood. So it's not about just like using fancy words. People want to know who you are, what you're about, what you do, what matters to you, what impact you want to make, what the purpose of your content is. I see people that are a little bit confused. They're not clear on their content. They want to build a brand, but you can't be talking about everything and anything. It's going to confuse people, right? So you have to be strategic about your content creation and how you show up consistently, okay? And also picking the right opportunities in terms of podcasts, conferences that you're speaking at, and things like that. So I typically speak at conferences. People ask me to speak on entrepreneurship and nursing quite a bit, about how to build a brand. And then I also talk a lot about glowing up your brand, glowing up your interview, how to show up in interviews and things like that. I've spoken at multiple universities virtually and also in person for the new graduate nurse and nursing student crowd. And then on the other side, I speak a lot also for, like I said, business conferences. I just got invited to speak at a conference at the University of Tampa. And it's just a general business conference. It's not even just specifically about nursing or anything. So entrepreneurship for me is huge. Visibility, building brand, creating content. Those are the topics that I absolutely love to talk about and that I'm an expert in terms of nursing and business as well. Okay. So you want to be known for at least 1 to 2 signature topics when you want to speak on panels or be on stages and things like that. Okay. So again, if you're just joining me, I'm sharing 5 ways that you as a nurse can be more visible in your career and in your business, and the tips on how to do that. Number 1 is to get clear about what you want to be known for in terms of your expertise, whether you want to be a coach, a consultant, a speaker, whatever it is. You have to be clear on your personal brand and demonstrate that in what you do and have social proof. Okay. So for me, I share photos, videos of me speaking on stages, different panels, my own conference, Nurses Making Business Moves. If you haven't gotten your tickets, go get your tickets for March 6th and 7th. It's on International Women's Day weekend. So go check that out. Okay. So that's number 1. Number 2 is build consistency, right? So showing up online, creating content, and also showing up in person. Okay. So yes, consistency is the new currency. It's absolutely a must. Okay. And also my 2 favorite platforms right now are LinkedIn and TikTok, and of course, YouTube. So I have a lot of platforms that I love, but I would say those are the top 3. For those who've been following me, I've been live streaming to YouTube, but for all the new nurses and nursing students that if you happen to be watching, I'm creating more content on YouTube. So I'll be having more YouTube shorts and more consistent content about how to get a job as a new nurse, what to do, what not to do. So go check out some of those videos. Right now it's under the Nursing Dose with Farah, but eventually I'm going to change the channel up to be something with branding, but look out for those. Okay. Number 3, create content, demonstrate your thought leadership. And I'm going to specifically say video content and going live. Live streaming is the way to go in 2026. People want to see your face. Some people are sick of AI. I love AI. There's good things and bad things about AI, and you can leverage it for different things in your business and your career. But people want to see the truth. People want to see the real you. People relate to people, so they want to see your face. Right? And live streaming, you can't fake this. You either know your stuff or you don't. So definitely show up live because it builds more trust and it builds more engagement. It builds more visibility, right? Okay. And then when you're going live, you have to have content that is related to what you want to be known for, which is all that strategy, all that content creation, building the brand, building your business or your career. Okay. So again, you want to be clear about what values you have, your point of view, your opinions, and just be, truthful and transparent. Okay. Also, people will pick up on your tone, your energy, your mannerisms, and things like that. Okay. So just be you. So create content. That's huge for 2026. And go on people's podcasts. Okay. So that's another commitment. I'm going to be going on more other people's podcasts. So if you have a podcast you want me to be on, let me know, or drop some podcasts, tag some people that have podcasts, whether it's in nursing leadership, in nurse entrepreneurship, business in general, women in business, branding, those type of podcasts I would love to be on. So let me know. And I bring the energy, so it's not going to be boring. And then number 4, add value. Okay, teach. You have to teach, but you have to teach in a way that people will understand. Simplify the education, so teach in simple terms, because that'll demonstrate your expertise even more. When you can teach something, it means that you're an expert and that you know what you're talking about, right? So these big marketing people like Alex Hormozi, Cody Sanchez, Rachel Rogers, and things like that, they have perfected the way they teach, the way they show up. They show up to webinars and things like that. It's consistent. That's another thing that I'm doing consistently now. I just started a couple months ago. So if you're a new nurse and you want to come to a free training, a free webinar that'll help you land your dream role, definitely check out my free webinar. You can check it out at newnursejob.com, and I'll drop the links later. I'm having these weekly webinars, took a break because of the holidays, but the next one is going to be this Wednesday, March 7th at 1 p.m. Eastern. Okay. And that's a free webinar for senior nursing students and new graduate nurses. And I'm telling you, nurses who have just showed up to the free webinar have landed jobs just from the free webinar, and they haven't even done one coaching with me. Okay. So I used to do one-on-one coaching. I still do, but I'm taking limited one-on-one coaching clients. I'm opening up my first official cohort for new graduate nurses, January 21st. So there's limited space. If you want to find out more about that, just message me on LinkedIn. Okay. So like I said, number 4 is add value and teach in simple terms. The more you simplify the teaching and what it is that you're doing, people will see you as an expert, as a thought leader. Because if you can't teach something that you don't know. Okay. So that is one big one. And then lastly, number 5, you have to move like a brand. Okay. You have to think like a business, move like a brand, both online and offline, which is obviously in person. And you have to remember that you are the brand, you're the asset, you have intellectual property, you have value to share, you have lived experience to share. So many of us nurses think that, oh, I don't have anything to share. No one's going to want to buy what I have, whether it's a product or a service. Trust me, you have so much intellectual property. You're sitting on so much value that other people will want to pay you for, whether you want to be a consultant, a coach, a speaker. You're sitting on some value. Okay. So the way to get it out there is to be visible, to create content, to be consistent. Okay. So that is the show for today. Again, look out for more of my live streams. Check out my YouTube channel. Check out nursesmakingbusinessmoves.com for my annual business conference, which is happening March 6th and 7th in Tampa, Florida. Get your tickets now. If you want to enter the pitch competition, it ends tonight at midnight. So definitely check that out. It's your chance to win $5,000. If you are a new nurse, check out my free training this Wednesday, January 7th at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's the New Nurse to Dream Role training, and you can find it on newnursejob.com. Or if you go to my LinkedIn link or TikTok link or Instagram, you'll see it there and you can register. Okay. So for those who missed it, 5 ways that you can be more visible in your career or a business is get clear on what you want to be known for, share those stories, demonstrate your expertise, take on those projects, whatever is going to help you, right? And just be relatable. Number 2, show up consistently, be present, speak in your natural voice, be clear and understood. Number 3, create content or thought leadership. You can show up on other people's podcasts if you don't want to necessarily start your own podcast. You can even show up in the media, on the news, commenting on certain topics that they need experts in, show up on panels, things like that. And then number 4, add value. Just teach in simple terms if you are going to be teaching, whether it's in-person workshops or creating content online, just keep it simple. And then number 5, move like a brand and think like a business, right? And just remember, you are the brand, you are the asset. You just have to show up and be visible, and you will unlock more opportunities in your career and in your business, okay? I'm telling you, visibility is more important than a resume. Your LinkedIn profile is more important than your resume. Creating relationships and building relationships is more important than a resume. And really supporting other people, being a sponsor to other people, volunteering, being a mentor, and then constantly learning, adding, stacking up your skills is going to be important. Creating content and also going live and speaking will help you get speaking engagements. I meet a lot of nurses and they're like, yeah, I want to be a speaker. I want to get invited to speak on panels and I want to be a speaker, but they're not creating content. They're not creating videos. There's no receipts of you being on panels or on stages or speaking. For you to get speaking engagements, people have to see proof of you speaking. So going live is a great way to do that. Showing up on other people's podcasts is another great way to do that, and also build your brand and improve your speaking skills, right? So it only makes sense, right? If you want to be a writer, you have to write, right? So again, this is all about building brand, being more visible, and being the expert that you are, but really demonstrating that by doing more of what you want to be known for and creating that digital footprint. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments anything that really stood out to you, what you enjoyed, what you would like to see in the next future lives about business, about branding, or about building your career as a nurse. Check out my YouTube videos, The Nursing Dose with Farah. Check out my free training, The New Nurse to Dream Role, January 7th. And of course, get your tickets to nursesmakingbusinessmoves.com. You can get your tickets March 6th and 7th in Tampa, Florida. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.